Very good morning to all and welcome to this video session. Today we are going to discuss about the topic on anesthetics and analgesics. In this video session we are going to discuss the topics like introduction to the anesthetics and analgesics, a classification of the anesthetics and analgesics, and how the compounds are synthesized and the therapeutic application of those compounds. Now, the purpose of learning this anesthetics and analgesics is that we know well that these are the two drugs which play very important role when the operation like a critical situation comes to a patient. And what is the role of analgesics and what is the role of anesthetics, that we are going to discuss now. Now, as far as introduction to anesthetics are concerned, general anesthetics are a group of drugs that produce loss of consciousness and therefore loss of sensation. The absolute loss of sensation is termed as anesthesia, which is derived from the Greek word meaning insensitivity or lack of feeling. Okay, general anesthetics bring about descending depression of central nervous system. So how it is acting in our body is from the central nervous system, starting with the cerebral cortex and the basal ganglia and the cerebellum and finally the spinal cord. So this is a route through which the drugs are acting. And here some of the the drug which is identified very fast is given. He is a dentist who is actually identified the laughing gas, the chemically called nitrous oxide, as a anesthetics in 1844. However, its application as a general anesthetics resurfaced in mid 1860s when it was dispensed in steel cylinders as an admixture with oxygen. Interestingly, nitrous oxide finds its application even today, particularly in combination with other anesthetic and analgesic agents. Later on, Morton, a Boston dentist, he has identified a compound ether as an anesthetic. And when you are coming to the classification of anesthetics, we can say they are classified as inhalation anesthetics, basal anesthetics, and intravenous anesthetics. And these are the compound. One by one we will see diethyl ether. This is actually administered through inhalation process. And as far as synthesis process of this compound is concerned, method 1 is given. It is synthesized from alcohol by treatment with sulfuric acid. Alcohol and sulfuric acid reacts to give you ethyl hydrogen sulfate, followed by the treatment with some more amount of ethanol. That ethyl hydrogen sulfate is converted into diethyl ether and water. And method 2, this is actually a synthesis of the same ether from ethylene. Ethylene again treated with sulfuric acid to give you ethyl hydrogen sulfate, and by means of adding excess of alcohol to that, we can able to get diethyl ether. And the second anesthetic, namely called ethyl chloride, it is a broad spectrum of usefulness besides its acclaimed potency for very painful surgical conditions and for being relatively benign with regard to the metabolic process of the body. It means no, the metabolic process of the body is not influenced by this particular anesthetics. And some more advantages of ethyl chloride is given. It is employed as a local anesthetic by freezing, but it is no longer used as a general anesthetic because of its damage to the liver and serious disturbance to the cardiac rhythm. So it is actually a small drawback what it is having, so that it has to be administered with care. And the next anesthetic is what fluoroxine, chemically called as 2,2,2 trifluoroethanol, which when undergoes reaction with acetylene, finally we will be getting trifluoromethyl vinyl ether. So this is the chemical name for fluoroxine. It is comparatively highly volatile, pleasant smelling anesthetic, employed most frequently for procedures requiring either the first or upper second phase of anesthesia. For example, like cardiac and dental obstetrics and orthopedic and of course urological and gynecological surgery, it is what used. And the advantage of this is post-operative nausea and vomiting are actually uncommon. Usually it used to happen, but as far as this particular anesthetic is concerned, it is uncommon. So in that way, it is a very good anesthetic agent. And the next one is halothane. Halothane is chemically called 2-chloro 1,1,1 trifluoroethane, which is actually isolated from the reaction product by fractional distillation. And it is also relatively safe and potent volatile anesthetic agent. And it is twice as potent as chloroform and 4 times that of ether. So this is what actually the advantage is part of this particular anesthetic agent. And next to that, we are going to moving on to the next drug, which is analgesics. So what is actually the definition or meaning for the analgesics? The term analgesics encompasses a class of drugs that are designed to relieve pain without causing the loss of consciousness. The different class of analgesic drugs, which include non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, okay, such as ibuprofen, naproxen, or COX-2 inhibitors. And here, in this particular session, we are going to discuss on a narcotic analgesics. Why this has been taken in this session? No, actually, this is the very first analgesic which was actually identified, namely morphine. Morphine is the very first analgesic compound identified from the plant, and so that the morphine and its analogs as a narcotic analgesic we are going to discuss it. And all narcotics carry the risk of addiction. That is the main problem why it is actually banned. And still no, it is playing a very important role when the critical analgesic requirement is what required. And then Tylenol is currently centrally acting non-narcotic pain reliever that does not have an anti-inflammatory effect. It does not cross-react with NSAIDs. Therefore, the two classes of medications can be taken together. Now, when we come to the morphine analogs, the morphine and related drugs possessing potent narcotic analgesic properties and are used in clinical practice. And the first derivative of morphine is morphine sulfate. It is a sulfate, the salt of morphine, and it's also called as opiate alkaloid isolated from the plant somniferum and produces synthetically also, but due to the critical steps involving in the long process and critical steps involving in morphine synthesis, it is actually isolated from the plant, and that can be converted into the morphine sulfate. And as far as the method of action, mode of action in our body is concerned, in the central nervous system, this agent has widespread effect including analgesia, respiratory depression, and gastrointestinal system smooth muscle contraction. So these are all the action in which the compound is involved. As far as structure is concerned, that is given here. Please look at the structure. It is morphine, along with that sulfuric acid is given. So this is the structure of morphine sulfate. And of course, as I said, it is prepared by isolation of morphine from the plant, and it will be sulfated. This is the method of preparation of morphine sulfate. And second one is diamorphine hydrochloride. This diamorphine hydrochloride, the structure is given here. This is actually a derivative of morphine, and which is carrying what? HCl. It's a hydrochloric acid salt. And it is prepared by the acetylation of morphine and subsequent treatment with hydrochloric acid. Diamorphine hydrochloride possesses similar action to that of morphine. It is found to be a more potent analgesic than morphine, but it has a shorter duration of action, stretching up to 3 hours only. And it is generally employed for the relief of severe pain, particularly in terminal illness. And this is the method of preparation is given. Acetylation in the first step. In the second step, it is treated with HCl to get diamorphine hydrochloride. In a nutshell, in this session, we discuss the classification of anesthetics and analgesics, and the method of synthesis of those drugs, and also the mode of action. Okay, thank you for listening this video.